The new influencers of nations are CEOs, not politicians. Politicians used to use people. Now politicians are being used.
Yeah, yeah.
They are the rubber stamps of CEOs and companies. So the ball game changed. So if we want to look at and structure the future of nations, we can't look at political systems.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no answers there. We need to study the mindset of what you're talking about, the billionaire.
Hello and welcome to Unlock the Kingdom Within You. This podcast explores the profound truth about what it means to be born into the kingdom, not a religion. On this podcast, we challenge the religious and denominational norms which shackle us from expressing the liberty of Christ by exploring the kingdom, the Ekklesia, and citizenship. If you're born into the kingdom but lost in religion, then this channel is just for you. So thank you for listening and don't forget to subscribe.
That technology should just be used for preaching on.
Yes, for a long time in my futurist conversations.
And by the way, I do want to talk to you about the futurist conversation. That's really in my mind.
Yes. I did a lot on the industrial revolutions with a focus on the fourth industrial revolution.
Oh, wonderful. So the information age.
Yes. I was very, very big on the issue, especially because now we have a major debate. Many of us say we've entered the fifth industrial revolution. But many people still think we're in the fourth industrial revolution. And technically, we've gone through where we are post-information, we are in innovation. And in innovation, we are now getting a very dangerous interaction because we are mixing tech with biology.
Yes, yeah.
A space that was unknown before. We've crossed over. I mean, if you go into the tech world, for example, most countries have a very blurred line on what the tech entails, because we used to have telcos, then we had we had what you would call fintechs, then we'd have software developers, and all these were disparate organizations. So the telephone company dealt with telephone. The internet company was an internet company. The software, this. Now, in most countries, it's one license, allowing them to cross, do whatever. And that tells you how blurred the lines are getting and the kind of doors it's opening. Now we have to introduce stuff like agri-tech, e-health. Because the tech is now encroaching into every single environment. And so that space is becoming very fluid. It's not going to be about who's the sharpest. And literally, they now need futurists. That's a new conversation. They now need prophets.
Have you
basically say?
Sorry, go ahead. I'm coming after.
Then I was just saying that's now become the new demand.
Well, I was going to say, like, one of the things I'm watching, which I'm wondering how many other apostolic people with apostolic mindsets are watching. I love watching Future Cities. And I don't know if you've seen them. There's on YouTube, there's loads of these Future City documentaries, which tell you where their planning is going for tech cities in the next 50 to 100 years.
Yes.
Now, on one side, obviously, there's a part of it saying, we may not be there in 100 odd years. But the other side to it is very interesting about the idea of having a future city mindset that carves out why you're developing the type of things you're developing now.
And
so
I believe strongly that that's the new age of the prophetic. Futurism. I argue that the people we called prophets in the Bible were futurists.
Yeah, because they whether we like it or not, I mean, let's take Ezekiel, for example, and his ability to his access to the city and his ability to measure that out.
Exactly.
For me, I'm and I know that feels like far away, but this idea of being able to map something out and prototype it in the earth, at least until there's some leverage for the kingdom to begin to build it out.
Yes.
I think it feels at this stage, within the context of what we're doing, that there is a mapping out going on. There's a prototyping going on for the real thing to come through.
Yes, I believe so. I mean, look at Daniel. He extrapolates a dream into governments.
Yeah, yeah.
Into who's going to govern when. And I believe that was the secret behind him functioning with every king, because he had foreseen that king. He had seen the structure of that king, and therefore he could fit into that model perfectly.
Mm.
In fact, the king that didn't inquire of him lost his throne.
Isn't it interesting though that currently they talk a lot about emerging economies, but alongside that, they're talking about economies which include architecture, which includes landscapes, which include technology, which I think in some cases it does, but doesn't always.
Yes.
You have to ask yourself whether or not the new digital currency and banking systems are futurist or whether they're reactive and still controlling.
Yes, yes.
But what I've not heard conversations about yet is the new political systems that emerge out of those technocratic states.
You see, the interesting thing, it's good you're asking that question, because companies are taking over nations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Facebook was one of the first as a social media platform to go beyond, to have a population size that goes beyond the country.
There you go. They're taking over nations. Yes. So, and that's the ball game. And if we don't understand that, that means the new influencers of nations are CEOs, not politicians.
Mm.
Politicians used to use people. Now politicians are being used.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are the rubber stamps of CEOs and companies. So the ball game changed. Mm. So if we want to look at and structure the future of nations, we can't look at political systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no answers there. We need to study the mindset of what you're talking about, the billionaires. It's almost like when they cross a certain threshold, they start thinking nations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And city-states. They begin to think like kings.
Yeah.
And that's where the thought line needs to be understood. If we can see into that realm, then we know where the journey is actually going. I think for us, that's where the thing needs to go.
It's going to be interesting. The next few years, certainly going to be very interesting for us.
Oh, yes, it will be.
I'm very interested into the potential of what could be realized, especially within the collaborative team. Mm-hmm. The challenge I think we have is our curiosity on things.
Yes.
Because I don't know about you, but I can look at something and go, that's interesting. I wonder where that's going to go. That's interesting.
I think we kind of have this mix. My own opinion of the collaborative team. Mm-hmm. Me and you are outliers. Okay. Anderson is ambidextrous. So he's able to really function within post-church environments and also peer into external environments. The rest of the team, in my opinion, are looking at how to migrate the church. We are looking at how to exit the church. And we're basically saying, if we left them behind, we'd be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Let them catch up when we've developed stuff.
Yeah,
but I think
modeling.
the rest are like, let's bring guys along, man. Let's not leave anybody behind. So we're kind of in this this tug of war in some of the conversations.
Yeah.
And so, because I noted that there's certain stuff I'll touch on, you'll touch on, Andy will touch on, and the rest of the team will be kind of silent. Because it's almost like that language hasn't been formed yet.
Yeah, and it's conceptualization, isn't it?
Yes.
Conceptualization.
Maybe that's why, like you said, we need to start having conversations about the World Economic Forum, about some of that stuff, so that we begin to, it's not that they don't have the grace to see it, but they've been so focused on managing the migration that you no longer look at the destination, where we are headed to and what it looks like. So I think that's part of the story.
No, I agree. I do. I agree with that. I think I used to say to Tim that one of the challenges I think that a lot of apostolic leaders have across all their camps is that you've got people emerging who have one eye on the nation state and the other eye on their local community.
Yes.
And they're being stretched between the two.
Yes.
And so our collaboration team, for example, is a good example of where we get to, because I know where most people want to spend their minds. They want to spend their minds on the nation state. All right.
Yes.
They love their community. They're working with their community, but the nation state is the priority. That's where the agenda lies.
Yes.
Yeah. And we've got to build that into community, and we've got to allow what are the streams that we have to flow across our communities into that. So I think that it's about us getting enough time as a collaborative team to talk about the nation state and the build up, the stuff that's more linked to leverage strategy into operation. We don't have enough of that happening at the moment. Charles, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been absolutely brilliant having you. You've added so much value, and I know our hearers are going to really, really engage with us. Before you go, can you please give us your web address? I'm going to add it in our description, but can you give the web address and where people can get in touch with you?
Yes. I said that the quickest way to find us, and then that will link you to everything else. Well, you could find us on YouTube at Cyrus Community.
Yeah.
That's the quickest way to find us. You could find us at Cyrus Community on Instagram. And you can find us, the Cyrus Community, on Facebook. But usually, I would say Instagram or Facebook would start you off, or YouTube, then they'd interlink you backwards to any of the other platforms. Yeah, we currently pulled down our website because we want to really change a few things and upgrade some stuff there. So that will be back up. But generally, that's the quickest way. We broadcast on YouTube. So most of our major content will be on YouTube.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to have you on for the next one, where we might start talking about some futurist stuff.
Thank you for joining our fireside talk about the kingdom. My name is Frederick Tobun, and I hope this podcast has been a blessing to you. If you'd like to continue to receive fresh insight into the kingdom, click the notification bell to follow us. For further information about the kingdom, visit our website www.unlockthekingdomwithinyou.com to download your free ebook. See you soon.